All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Lifestyle Loops podcast. We're here for episode 6 today, and we have another very special guest on the podcast. We have Aidan Doyle. Aidan is a fellow two-time Irish national champion and also a representative on the world stage as well. So pretty cool to have somebody else on the podcast, obviously, who's, been to the worlds, had that experience as well. But yeah, mate, obviously, welcome to the podcast. Thanks very much for coming on. How's everything on your side?
I appreciate it. Appreciate having you on. I was first time been on a podcast, so it's always good to chat to you boys. Bit surreal still hearing someone say two-time Irish champion out loud or whatever. Uh, but yeah, all good. Off season is well and truly underway now. What are we, 8 weeks post show or something like that? Time's just flown by.
Fine,
But yeah, chilling on my end.
good stuff. Good stuff. I don't know if you listened to the episode that we had Shay on, but
Yeah.
Jake has a number of the ultimate icebreaker questions
Okay.
that we like to kick off every episode with a guest with. So, Jake, do you want to start with those before we delve into some of the bigger topics?
Okay.
Go
I'm
for
sure
it.
sure you did hear these. You know what to
I did
expect.
the same ones.
Yeah, you're an avid
Yeah,
listener.
same
Like
ones.
Yeah.
Okay.
we're gonna keep them consistent.
All right.
I know the answer to some of them, definitely. But we'll crack on. So number one, cream of rice or oats,
Cream of rice.
prep or off season,
Off season.
takeaway or a fancy meal out.
Oh, in my heart, it's a takeaway, but I've loved a meal out lately. But
Oh, is that
can't go wrong with a takeaway.
being
Mm.
clean post show? Fuck's
Yeah,
deal. Never get stronger or never get bigger.
never get stronger. You got to get bigger.
Yeah, you have to if you're bodybuilding. Like favorite exercise?
RDLs,
RDL. As a spectator, classic men's physique or open.
open.
This is the one I know. Pick one, coffee, energy drink, or pre-workout.
Oh, coffee all the way.
Yeah, and instead of coffee order, I'll ask you, what's your favorite Nespresso at the minute?
Oh. See, I'm after post show, so I was on the flavor buzz. Mate, that rich chocolate on prep hit different.
Does it? Does it? I
Uh,
really don't rate
First
it.
time I had it, I thought it was minging. And then on prep, I got a free one in an order. I was like, this is the best thing I've ever tasted.
Do you ever go to
Uh,
the stores in person and they give you like a fuck ton of free pods?
Three pod.
no, we've none in Galway. They're like,
Oh, seriously?
yeah,
Yeah.
I've got it, but I don't know. There's one in Limerick, I think, but I
Uh,
haven't been down that way. But I
my sister
absolutely need to
went
go.
once and they gave her 10 capsules of like pumpkin spice cake for
Yeah.
free
Sick.
Is
just
there
for
still
having
one
an
in
idea.
Belfast? I don't even know if
Yeah,
it's still
Victoria
there.
Square.
But is it still there?
Is it open?
Yeah, yeah,
Is it open though?
Hmm.
yeah.
Okay.
This was like recent, like the last 2 months.
All right, fair enough. You never know in that place.
I need to
Uh,
get back on the
You know,
pods to be fair.
the half
yeah,
caffeine pods are goated. I've been living off those.
I
You just
need to get
smash
into
like
some of them
four
actually.
coffees a day instead of two. You same caffeine
That's
count.
yeah, because I was doing that but with decaf, and it
Oh,
only
I was slamming decaf and prep
I was
too.
having like
Yeah.
4 decafs in one day.
Yeah,
5 decafs in between meals. I was having a decaf coffee.
especially prepping that time of year because it's so cold,
You'd be
mate.
just freezing. Like you need
So
something to
cold.
warm you up.
Yeah,
City break or a week in the sun.
city break.
Good answer. Favorite Ben and Jerry's tub.
See, I was thinking about this one when I heard Shay ask this one. I'm I feel like I'm basic because every time you talk about these flavors, I haven't had mate any of them. I
Seriously.
think I was trying to think the last time I think I had a tub of Ben and Jerry's was when I got COVID in 2021 and I could not eat.
Jesus, man, you need to
It
get
was
back
like my
on it.
last.
You're
I
2 months
know.
post show.
I'm not going to sit here on my own and eat one though. I'd
Oh
feel
well,
I'm
that's butcher.
not going to pull a butcher on it.
That's
Picture.
my
But
off-season activities. Yeah.
I think I'd always just cookie dough all the way.
I've actually got
Good,
that
to
one
be fair.
tonight. I've never had it.
But it feels just so old school and basic. I'm like, I need to try all these new ones.
But do you know it's actually like the same calories as like the ones with like 30 ingredients in them? Like
Yeah,
the
it's
chocolate
mad.
cookie dough
Yeah,
must
Because
be
the
absolutely
cookie dough is like
huge.
rocks of cookie dough.
it's
Yeah,
chonky.
it's good.
Yeah.
Like,
It's
Have you
thick.
And
seen the bags you can get where it's actually just like little
Yeah.
bites of the cookie dough?
oh
They're
yeah,
sick.
but I'd never venture down that route
You
though.
could do that though, and then get a tub of like Halo top, and then just
Diet
What if
hack.
you just pour the cookie doughs in your cream of rice or your oats and you're chilling?
oh, don't give me
Fair enough.
ideas.
Oh,
Tim, I apologize.
good focus FC. Fuck me.
and last one, strong front shots or strong rear shots.
Strong front shots because my front shots are whack in comparison to my rear shots.
Oh,
They need a
NBFI or WNBF?
oh mate, you can't ask me that one. See, I didn't know about MBFI being an international show until I was listening to the Natural Physique podcast. I totally missed that post. That's
Yeah,
a
they
that's
kept
an
it under the
interesting one.
radar. They kept it
Yeah,
under the radar. They didn't really. They haven't even spoken or announced what is actually involved.
yeah.
Well, I was
Because
telling these boys, I was speaking to Jay, the president, so I know what's happening. I mean, we could talk about it. To be fair, do you want to?
might as well.
We
I
may
don't.
as well, yeah, if we're allowed.
Yeah.
What
because
we're
I would
allowed to
like
discuss.
MBFI with that venue. I think if WNBF upped their venue, which obviously I was speaking to them this year
Yeah.
with Worlds and stuff, that is what they'd like to do eventually.
Okay.
Um, the experience of MBFI on that stage and stuff is just on another level, but there is something different about it being that Irish community where WNBF is already an international show down here.
Hmm.
I feel like that's just going to be something we miss out a little bit, and it'll definitely be interesting on how it turns with the different shows on that weekend. I think that international is going to influence where people go for sure.
Yeah. So, in terms of how the NBFI show's being ran, essentially they're starting about 2 hours early. So I think they're planning to start at like 10 o'clock, maybe run like an extra hour later than what they're used to. But the way it's going to be formatted is there's going to be an Irish national show in the morning for obviously all of us. So essentially that's just what MBFI has been before. It's just going to be ran in the morning. And then in the afternoon, there's going to be a separate show, which is the international show. So essentially, we have to do MBFI. If you win your class, it's not guaranteed, but if you win your class, you then qualify for the international show in the afternoon, while international competitors just come over and do the international show. But I think they are getting kind of like screened. So, like, not all international competitors can come over. They'll look at you and go, okay, you are the standard, or not the standard, but
Yeah,
you're of good enough standard. They want to make sure the quality of the show is still good. So I know there's already quite a few Danish people coming over for that international show. It's obviously, I think anyone who's kind of affiliated with the DFBA, I think you'll get a lot of them kind of being
yeah.
pushed to come over and do the show. But yeah, so it's like an Irish national show in the morning and then international show in the afternoon.
And you boys are going to have to be on stage 4 times. You've got your
Potentially,
class,
yeah.
you've got the national overall, then you'll have a class in the international, then international
I
overall.
don't
Yeah,
know
that's a
when they're
long
going to
day.
do the overall. I don't know if they're going to do
Yeah.
Yeah,
it overall. Like they might just go, okay, you qualify in the morning. There's no overall for
yeah,
that point, and then like in the afternoon when you do the international, they might give an overall for the Irish people and then do an international one. I don't know how it's going to work.
yeah.
I
I mean,
also just wonder how it's going to work in terms of like numbers, because unless the show is going to be one of these ones that starts at like 8 and runs until midnight, you know, like
I
how
think
are
they're
they?
imagining not like huge numbers. If he said start at 10 o'clock, then he's probably not expecting a stupid amount of people turning up.
Okay, just
yeah.
yeah. I
Because
mean,
that
I
year
just
you done MBFI, Cameron, was we left before the end. Like we wanted to stay until the end, but it was such a long day. It was crazy.
yeah. That was crazy. I mean, Men's Physique were only getting on stage at like 7:30, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
There's a hunt. I remember it well. There was 155 competitors the year I did it. I'm not sure if you know the total for the year you did it, Matt, but
Mm,
Don't think it was as many as that. No.
yeah. Um, no, obviously it'll just be interesting to see what they do there. But yeah, obviously quite excited about that, and it represents a bit of a change because I do think last year, like we've talked about it a few times, there was maybe like five standout physiques, Aidan, you obviously
yeah,
being one of them. It was pretty clear to see in the overall, but there was a good few classes like where people walked out and it was like, oh, well, he's won instantly,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
just because of the golf.
it definitely pushed the standard, I think, to another level, which like since I competed in 22, the standard's gone insane.
Hmm.
And then obviously being to the UK and stuff, I think it definitely needs a little bit of a boost and for people to see, okay, this is the standard we get at, and I think it'll only push it further. But,
Yeah.
When you look at like the top end Irish athletes, like, you know, the Irish athletes are actually very good. There's just not many of them.
Yeah.
Like
yeah,
those top athletes who are going to worlds, they're placing, they're winning world titles. Like you got, it was second, wasn't it?
yeah,
Yeah, like second in the world. Keaton won, obviously. There was a girl who won a couple. There was the men's physique guy who won. Like when you look at that, you'd think, shit, Ireland's actually unbelievable at bodybuilding here. But when you go to the shows, you're just like, there's such a broad range,
yeah.
and it's like the good are like there, and then everyone else is just a little
Yeah.
bit behind. So it just needs
Yeah,
to bump up that
it's
little
always
bit.
going to be the case then of like you boys were in off season this year, so not competing. So that's like say two out of the bag straight away. And
Mhm.
it's like it never lines up fully for everyone to actually be on stage at the same time, which would
Hmm.
obviously be sick.
Yeah. I feel like as well though, like over here, like I was reading your log last night, Aidan, and even like myself at the minute, Matt, like we all have done pre-prep diets, and run those into prep. And I was even thinking about it, like it's still probably quite a niche concept that over here. You speak to
Yeah,
people in the gym and they're like a pre-prep diet. Like, what is that? Why are you doing a diet for 4 months to then come out of it to then start prep? And then that's probably why, like, I'm not gonna name drop anyone, but you'll probably know the people I mean. Like they come in, they're in shape, they're like hitting the posing routines, and it's like they think they're the shit, but you're looking at them and going, your glutes still aren't fully in. There's a couple of pounds to come off still, and they probably don't
yeah,
know that. That's
yeah,
just where the level's at in Ireland. But yeah. Um, Yeah, you obviously mentioned it there. Like was it 2022 would have been the first season?
yeah. 22. So I think I'd done three shows in 22. So done WNBF, MBFI. That was in the Cork venue, and then done PCA Galway untested show because it's just down the road. Done that for a bit of fun.
Bit of crack.
Was going to
How
do that this year, but did not line up. I was going to jump into Classic for the crack. We talked about it like 3 weeks beforehand. We had it down as a maybe, and then we're like, no, we're just going to push for the Worlds at the end of it. But would have been fun.
Good stuff. Obviously, there's a bigger talking point relating to that prep, which is your transition from men's physique to open.
Yeah.
Which funnily enough, actually quite a few of the questions I got in the question box yesterday were related to that. So we'll cover that after. But that first
Yeah.
prep, I actually didn't look over your results for that first prep. So how did you do in men's physique?
Not good, bro. Not good. Too wide waisted. I got that wide hips, narrow shoulder structure. No, didn't place in any of them. I think fifth and sixth in WNBF and MBFI was where I placed.
Okay.
Uh, I kind of just so like I got into the gym in 2016, and you get into the gym, I was typical story. I normally don't touch it on much, but typical story was overweight. I was like 90, 95 kilo or something when I joined the gym. Uh, I think obviously you jump into it, and everyone on social media is all men's physique athletes at the time. So from once I kind of found that's what I wanted to do, men's physique was kind of just on the cards, and I
Yeah.
never really moved. So when I came to hit COVID and then come out of COVID, I was like, all right, I need to just jump in, dive into it. And men's physique was just what I had in my head. Throughout that prep, I kind of started to want to do open a little bit more, kind of see where I was probably going to be a little bit stronger, but I already had it set in my head to kind of do that men's physique season anyways.
Mhm.
So done the two shows, wasn't working with AJ at the time. Uh, but the prep itself went super good, super smooth. Loved the process. Uh, Definitely looking back on things that could have been better from that prep and were better last year. Uh, but yeah, didn't place in either of those. Immediately got off stage. I was like, all right, 2025, going again, not doing men's physique anymore. Uh, and then kind of just went from there really.
where was your like leg development compared to your upper body development in that first prep? Because I remember seeing your shots, or maybe it was on the show day, and I seen your side
Yeah,
leg, and I was like, this fellow is men's physique, and your side leg was like the best part of your physique. And I was like, what the fuck?
yeah, they got lean. They were definitely weren't big, but they're like conditioning wise, my legs were there.
Hmm.
Size wise, they were not there. I had like no adductors, just big gap down the middle. But yeah, even in my check-ins with my coach at the time, it was just the only comments we're getting were like, "Oh, mate, your hamstrings." I'm like, "Mate, I'm going to be wearing shorts."
It
Could
doesn't matter.
we comment on something else here for a minute? Uh, so yeah,
So that
condition
off
wise, the
season,
legs just came through.
that off season was there was a big focus on leg development then. Yeah.
Yeah, probably mostly even I done like 4 weeks post show with that coach, and then I done like 8 months on my own.
Okay.
Um, and I think that I really poured into legs because I was like, all right, in my own head, I was like, this is what I need to do. Um, done 8 months on my own before joining up with AJ, and then I went a little bit more balanced. But there was definitely so we structured it. It was hamstrings went with pull, and then quads just got a day on their own. So quads got full focus every 5 days, literally no hamstring movements in the session. And then adductors were getting hit every like 3 days pretty much.
Yeah.
So to a degree, they were definitely focused, but it was a case of bringing up everything at the same time.
Everything. Yeah. I get that.
Good
But
stuff.
it's definitely more balanced now moving forward since they've kind of come up to match a little bit better.
Yeah. When was it then you did hop on with AJ?
Uh, that was so we went to watch the Worlds in Manchester in 23. Um, so when I got off stage at MBFI, I didn't even get judges' feedback. I just kind of was chatting with AJ a little bit, getting
Hmm.
his feedback on where I moved forward, done my own thing, and then went over July 23, had a little chat with him. I still planned on doing my own thing for a little while longer. Um, just he said he'd give me like a little bit of guidance or a little bit of advice on where to go with it. So chatted with him. He gave me kind of what he'd do next. And then on that trip back home, I was like, I just need to sign up. So the 8 months was good, and it definitely done well for enjoying everything, but it was definitely not the best it could be. So I was like, all right, I need to just if I'm getting back on stage in 25, I was like, I need to just join up. So July 2023 we started.
Do you reckon the rest of your time bodybuilding will be with AJ? Because you
Yeah.
obviously look up to him like big time. Like, of course, you're wearing an MBW hoodie today. I could have put money on that, genuinely.
Yeah.
Put the house on it.
I think it's all I have in my wardrobe, to be honest.
So yeah, you'll be sticking with AJ for forever, basically.
Yeah, I'd imagine so. Like I think at some point I'd like to be able to do a little bit more on my own and be a little bit more self-sustainable.
Hmm.
But I don't think it's necessary of like even the 8 months I'd done on my own. My partner at the time was being coached by Loz, so we were kind of following that plan anyways. But when I joined up with him, he literally didn't change anything that I was doing except from a little bit of training plans. I gave him the meal plan that I was following, and he just called the changes from there. So when our systems and kind of ideas line up so close together, I think it just makes the whole thing a whole lot easier. Training's nice and bit. He, to a degree, lets me do my own training in terms of if there's something not available, he trusts me to kind of make the right thing and just do something else. So I think when you find someone and trust someone that lets you kind of just make it as easy as possible, that's going to be the thing that's going to give you the most progress, really.
Yeah,
And we've already done a prep, so next prep is going to be all that data is already there.
even easier. Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
sure. Um, so yeah, just to kind of, I suppose, close on that one because that's obviously a big point. And I mean, I was sort of as Jake said, I whenever you first stepped on stage as well, I was like, Jesus Christ, like this guy used to compete in men's physique. Donal asked the question, what had Aidan make the transfer from men's physique to bodybuilding? It just comes back to, I suppose, then, going through that first prep and maybe having the desire to even do it in the middle of that.
Yeah, like even during checking photos on that prep, it's like you're hitting side tricep poses or you're hitting rear doubles, and it's like they're not poses that you get to hit, and it kind of zaps a little bit of that enjoyment from it.
Hmm.
Um, you don't get a routine, which is good fun, and then I think it comes down to just knowing where your structure fits at the same time.
Yeah.
Um, like even the classes and the direction of the classes of being weight classes now as opposed to height in the open. Like I'd be in a short class in men's physique, but the way it's split, boys were a foot taller than me, and I'm never going to be as competitive on that. So seeing where your strengths lie, but then also what you're going to enjoy a little bit more.
Yeah, for sure. And then you did your training actually change that much? Like I know Jake kind of touched on it, but like if you look at your training for like, 2022 when you were on prep with your previous coach to like maybe where you were in your off season, did much
Yeah.
change there? Obviously, you probably spanned legs a bit, like you said, but
Yeah, spam legs a bit. Intensity was definitely the biggest factor. Um, I learned a lot under that first coach. It was definitely a little bit more science-based training. I was
okay.
reverse banding
Who,
more
sorry, who
movements.
was the coach? Is he like well known or is he?
Well enough now, like it says on my page, is Joe Brightman.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
So coached
Okay.
by Brightman from 20, literally just after COVID. So it was about a year up until the prep. Um, so yeah, I had like little problems with my knees and stuff. So we were like reverse band and hack, and then we were like reverse band and Smith machines. So there was more time setting things up. Whereas now it's just you just get in and do the work, really. It's a
I
lot.
remember that bringing the daisy chains and everything out and
That was a
carabiners
phase,
and
mate.
clip and everything.
Yeah.
Oh, it was a nightmare.
It was
I
like I was probably spending more time doing sessions than I realized, whereas sessions now feel long, but they're way more efficient, they're way quicker.
Mhm.
But I think I've just thrown myself into the deep end more of following a circle of people like yourselves or AJ and Keefe and all these that just train with much more intensity. Like 2022, that was what MBW started then. So
Hmm.
that whole like system almost wasn't even in my realm at the time. So intensity was definitely the biggest thing that's jumped forward.
That's actually a good point. Aidan, have you been a member of the site since it started?
A few months after it started, I think, yeah.
Yeah. No, I noticed you're rivaling me with the joined 4 years ago.
Yeah,
Um,
you got that gold star though.
yeah, yeah. I know. I've been talking too much shite on the forum, it seems. Not as much as Jake though. Plucking
yeah.
up very fine hairs.
It is
Um,
good though. It's nice to kind of, especially like that time where I was trying to coach myself to a degree of trying to just be accountable. But
yeah, you can look back
checking
on
in with myself was definitely something that took a big slip at a certain point, or even get to that point you don't want to take your own check-in shots because they're just not great.
it. Yeah, for sure. Um, no, I think for me, like obviously, it's actually a bit mad thinking back as well. We got a session at the dock that must have been like a year and a half ago now, maybe coming up 2 years.
That was more than that, I'd say, was it?
It,
Be able to
well,
look back on Instagram. It was definitely like
I think it
I'd
was about
say
a year and a half
I'd say
mark because I
I'd say
remember
almost
seeing it.
bang on 2 years, I'd say, wouldn't it?
Two.
could be.
At that
I'll
point.
find the photo in the background here, but
That was
um
that was pre-legroom doc.
Oh
yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
it
yeah,
was. Big changes have been going since then.
big changes
Yeah.
indeed. For
Doc was
better or
probably
worse.
in a better spot though back
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I was reading Cameron's log earlier this morning and mentioning that, and I think it's the way just gyms are going these days, and unfortunately.
Yeah, I kind of laughed because last night as well, I was reading Dominic's and he had tagged me in it because he trains in Newry and he
Yeah.
said they have the same issue. Yeah, it's a bit frustrating, but
It's same issue everywhere down here, mate. It's the shadow boxing thing, bro. I don't know what it's about.
I know
We don't
nothing
really have
beats.
shadow boxers here, do we?
We do, mate.
I've
We
not
do.
Do
seen a
we?
shadow boxer, but
Yeah,
it fucks me off big time. It's like
you're
It's
sitting on the
nuts.
prime flat and you're sitting there trying to get ready and you just look to your left and there's some little 12-year-old boxing his mate on the prime pec deck and I actually just like I actually took my headphones out and was like, right, let's give ourselves a minute here.
It's when
Then
they go
then
and
you
do it while their mate is like doing a set as well, and they go to like throw a jab at him. It's like, mate, he's gonna absolutely wreck himself here.
then you
Uh,
look to your other direction and someone's eating a fucking square bar in between sets and you're just like, what is this environment that I'm training in?
The mid-session monsters.
mid-session monsters.
What's our opinion on a mid-session monster?
Tremendous for digestion.
Kicks in half an hour later when they've already finished their
And
session and they're on the walk
Yeah.
back home to get their chicken nuggets and chips
But
from
then they get a monster as well, 45 minutes
5
into the
minutes.
session. Just
Yeah.
that's their intro.
Yeah.
They'll have
Just
caffeine.
keeps the heart rate high. You got to keep that
That's intensity.
thermogenesis going.
as long as they don't get an ultra. If they get the mango loco, they're getting the carbs in, so they can
Oh,
actually
that's
use
true,
it for the
actually, yeah.
session.
True.
If they get the ultra, there's no benefit to it.
I don't think I've ever had a mango loco.
You would
I
not.
did like years and years ago. Like I'm chatting when I was maybe like 18 and I
My,
loved it. But when you drank it, it felt like your teeth were about to fall out. I
my
was like,
favorite sugary one was the pipeline punch, pink one.
never tried it.
Oh, it was
Never
on.
tried it either.
I
I'd
Only
actually
actually
when I
have
have
did
one.
one.
the
I'm
mango
drinking one
loco.
now. It's that
Oh,
good.
I had the original Rossi one, you know, the yellow one.
Oh yeah, I had it.
Do
Yes,
you remember the Lewis Hamilton one? It was like red.
Yeah,
I
It was
didn't
like
drink
grape
No.
that.
flavored or something. It was actually quite nice.
it was.
Quite
It came out like around the same time when I was like, whenever obviously you're getting into fitness, bodybuilding, whatever, and you're like, I just can't be wasting calories on liquids anymore. So it's like this is no longer an option to me. But I do remember seeing it. Um,
I didn't realize that the fact that it had sugar and carbs was a bad thing. I was like, this is going to give me energy and it's giving
energy.
me carbohydrates for my session. I was seeing the positives. So
Uh, oh God. Yeah, but something I kind of wanted to touch on because we were kind of talking about this obviously with the nature of the discussions going on at the moment about gyms. Um, the reason I brought that up, it was April 2024, by the way, Aidan, the end of April. I remember you saying to me at the time in the gym, because obviously, the dock we are kind of spoiled. It's full of Cybex, Prime, Nautilus everywhere. There's
Yeah.
probably a lot more kit in there now. Um, the gym you were training in at the time was full of a lot of knockoffs, and I think it was, am I remembering right, like Panada bits?
Uh, yeah, there's a good lot of gyms down here. It's a lot of the gyms down here are knockoff techno gym pieces,
Hmm.
which are kind of standard bits in a lot of leisure gyms and stuff down here too.
Yeah. But I think it's a good sort of case study and example for like, yes, it's good to be around, great bits of equipment. But for yourself, mate, like you can just tell, like one thing that always sticks out to me about you whenever I see your clips and, even your Instagram is that you just genuinely love the process and just get stuck in no matter what environment, what gym you're training in, you just get after it.
Yeah.
And that's like even over, your entire off season there. You weren't necessarily always surrounded by like, super well kitted out gyms, maybe in comparison to the likes of us, but you can still get some great work done.
Yeah, you can make it work. I think once you go in with the right headspace, and I think you guys were talking about it before of if you could pick your prime kitted out gym or with kids running around versus a quiet gym, right environment, I'm picking that all day. Um, like obviously it was over in Ultraflex for the MBW show, and it's like the kit is unreal. Like can't can't go wrong with it at all. But if I'd definitely take the environment, basic kit, barbell, cable, like I put back in dumbbell presses this off season moving forward that you can do it anywhere. But having those basic movements that just excite you at the same time,
Hmm.
I'd take those all day over that.
Sure. Um, yeah, you
Some of the
obviously,
knockoffs are terrible.
yeah, I mean,
I
I
think
haven't,
I really struggle going from now that we are spoilt with kit, I'd struggle going back to shitty pieces of kit. But if I was just starting out and that's what I was used to, I'd be happy enough to crack on. But I think like if you told me, Jake, you're not allowed to use Prime for like the rest of your training, I'd be like, this is fucking shite. I would definitely be a bit
I
gut.
think once you'd get a few sessions in though, you'd be fine. I think the first couple of
yeah,
sessions you'd be fuming. But I think once you'd kind of get into it and you'd get some sort of baseline set up on it, I
Once
think
you
you'd
get
be all right.
accustomed to the movements and you realize you can get a decent set out of them.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
also goes back to like what you kind of grew up watching. Like when you got into the sport, you were probably watching. I take it you weren't watching like Dorian Yates and stuff, were you? Or like even the
No,
old school guys. So like
it
if you're
was
growing up
it was
watching
big
like
at the time.
people lifting
Christian
primary,
Guzman for me and like Rob Lipsett. I was looking at those guys, and then bodybuilding wise, it was like um it would have been like all the bodybuilding stuff I would have watched would have been out of Golds
yeah.
and
Yeah,
Venice,
yeah.
and mate, like
Still,
Golds and Venice. It
it's
doesn't
not
have,
basic kit, but it's
yeah,
not prime stuff.
there's no prime in
No.
there, like, you
Uh,
know.
so often, like
Um,
if I'm watching a pre-workout video, I don't really do it now, but like on prep, I definitely did. It was like the older videos from like the 90s when they were like lifting barbells, dumbbells, Cybex kit and stuff.
mhm.
Yeah.
So
That's
I
why
don't
they
mind.
built so
I don't
much
mind using
muscle,
them.
isn't it?
What?
That's why they built so much muscle,
Yeah, barbell rows, mate.
because it's
Yeah.
optimal.
Just triggered. He's annoyed.
I'm gonna start tweaking here. I'm itching to start a row.
Yeah, AJ does barbell rows. He does cable
He
rows.
sent me this by his midweek. He just sends me no context, no caption, just AJ doing barbell rows. So I just reply with a question mark because I know what he's insinuating.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, I'm gonna force you to say it. It's just like, shut up.
Man,
Jeff.
I've got deficit barbell rows in my new plan. I'm gonna be dense.
They're good.
Uh,
They're good. They
They're
work.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, but there's better options.
But
There's better.
if you get more out of that movement, as in you can apply more intensity, then
Yeah, but it's like take any four of us. We're not gonna just because we don't like a movement. I don't think we're calling a set short at all. Yeah, we'll be more excited for some movements than others, but we're still not calling the set short. So I think the intensity argument's a bit like, eh, we're really
if
going down
you're
the road.
do you apply the same mindset and intensity going into a stiff leg deadlift or your hinge variation compared to a single arm pull down? Because I
Yeah.
know that I don't, but
yeah, I don't.
Well, I'm not getting up like I can sort of just walk into the set. Like maybe the preparation for the set isn't the same, but I'm still taking it all the way there or as close to as possible or sensible wise.
I do always think there's a degree of like my back is by far my strongest like shot. I
Hmm.
think I do think there's a case of when I first joined the gym and like you were saying, it was just basic things. I was rowing dumbbells single armed. I had no business rowing with the most horrendous form. It's like my knees were I was probably squatting down to the floor and then just dragging it up. I think there's a case of having some movements like that, especially for a back that you just train like a bit of an arsehole and just
Back is the one movement you can get away with it. Like if you're ass into the sky on your presses and stuff, you're not going to build a
no,
chest. But with a bit of momentum on the back training, you can definitely get away with it.
yeah. So much more resilient too. Like so I think if you're doing poor form on a shoulder press, you're definitely just gonna write yourself off. Whereas I think poor form on a roll every now and then, you're probably gonna be pretty all right.
yeah, if you look at how many people maybe get injured doing a sloppy barbell row versus like a sloppy dumbbell shoulder press, I
Yeah,
feel like you're just in much more of like a compromising position when you're here and you've got the weight there compared
Yeah,
to
yeah.
it's
when you're
dangerous.
bent over.
Your free
Um,
But it is
weight.
definitely I think then definitely pairing it of like if you're doing barbell rows, you do have those movements that are a little bit more locked in, a little bit more
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
strict.
it's like getting the best of both worlds, isn't it?
Yeah.
Not just going super isolation or completely the other end of the spectrum where everything's just dumbbells, barbells, completely sloppy. It's trying to find like that sort of middle ground where you're getting some of these, some of those,
Yeah.
and just making it work.
I find from teaching people as well, teaching people how to train with intensity is always the hardest thing of having those movements in there that are a little bit easier to push them on that. I find that if I see someone doing a single arm pull down, it's way harder to try and get them to take that set all the way there than a
I
dumbbell
agree with
row
that
or
actually. Yeah. It's not even like Okay, I don't know. It's that sort of comes down to like the excitement of the movement as well. I
Yeah,
think like if someone new to training's like, oh, I've got a barbell row here, I can maybe work this up to like, because you care about the numbers on those
Yeah,
lifts, whereas
yeah,
on a
yeah,
cable you don't care what pin you're using. So if a newbie or a beginner lifter's like, I could get up to two plates on a barbell row. That's fucking epic. I'm gonna like work hard at this here, but they're like, I don't care if I'm doing 26.25 kilo on my single arm pull down.
yeah.
hmm
Think as well, like I mean, I was barbell rowing, dead stop barbell rowing 140 this time last year, and I'm only rowing 105 at the minute. But
'Cause you
I
building up
haven't I
to it.
haven't regressed, mate.
Have.
I haven't.
Yeah, fuck off.
I haven't regressed, mate. I'm rowing totally different to how I was back then. Um, I'm using different cues and I'm trying to just focus on the movement a bit differently. Don't necessarily think there's a bad like there's no downside to that either. Um, but yeah, obviously, I think that's something I kind of struggle with sometimes. Like I have clients who they're trying to do a barbell row or they don't know that like a barbell row or something with dumbbells, you can maybe be a little bit more lax and just go for the set,
Mhm.
and not think quite so much about it. It's more so like just do it. Like quite a lot of the time, whenever you're doing your Google Sheets or whatever for a client, I'm writing down, you know how to row. Like
Just
just
lift the
don't
weights
overthink it.
up.
Yeah, literally
If there
just
is a movement where you can apply that phrase to, it
yeah,
is literally like a barbell row.
yeah.
It's my
Or
purpose.
a deadlift, just lift the weights on. Yeah.
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 I think
But
the difficulty with that is like, especially for me, because my back is a weaker body part. You're obviously thinking, okay, how do I bring up a weaker body part? Okay, maybe I need to look at my execution a little bit more. So then you're starting to think of all these cues. Okay, I need to get my setup right, and you just end up overthinking everything, and then you can't get as much out of it. See, when I just like, if I just maybe think of one cue and it's like just being a bit more stable within like a single arm pull down, then I get so much more out of the exercise compared to, okay, if I'm rib cage here, maybe here, shoulder needs to be there, focus on the elbow. You end up just thinking about too much. But then when you go to like a barbell row, as you said, you literally just pick the weight up and put it down again.
Yeah, I've been like that sometimes of trying to think too much on a movement at once. And
Mm-hmm.
then it's like rather than trying to think of one thing at a time. Because it
yeah.
definitely like even now I still have some movements where it's like it doesn't feel quite right, but I'm trying to think of one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Next week I might try and think of something else.
Out of curiosity, how many or how much training are you showing AJ at the minute? Because you've been with him for ages. So, like, are you still sending numerous clips a week over for your check-in?
Not much. I'll send over a bit more now that we're on kind of a new plan. There's a few new movements in there.
Hmm.
I'll kind of send those ones over. On prep, it was more so for myself to make sure my execution wasn't slipping towards the back end.
Yeah, you
So it's
need
kind
that
of
accountability, sort of. Yeah.
yeah, so the same kind of main movements of like I held on to RDL numbers really well through prep, but I wanted to make sure I wasn't just throwing them around for the sake of it. So I'd send those over maybe every couple of weeks. But yeah, it'll pick up now again, set baseline execution for the new movements, and then it'll probably dip down to a few here and there. Because if he sees them on Instagram, he'll kind of hit me up of he's seen this, maybe change that, but not sending them as much directly though.
Yeah.
What are you trying to bring up at the minute? Like, how's your training sort of set out?
It's
Like,
a little bit of everything, definitely more so upper really at this point. So we've set up it's three upper body sessions, two lower body sessions a week. Um, Kind of chest was the main thing I noticed on myself to come up a lot more. So I think one thing I've tried to do of not influencing too much either. So I kind of see in my own shots, seeing what my weak points were, but didn't mention it. I just mentioned about switching up the training plan, trying to get something fresh because it was just getting I was following that same split for almost 3 years. I definitely needed something fresh. So didn't say anything. He kind of met it, and then his kind of weak points to bring up lined up with my own. And then we just kind of went from there. So arms, chest, then delts, then quads and posterior pretty much.
sometimes you only really see those things when you actually diet down as well. Like you're
Yeah.
kind of like 8 weeks out and you're looking at your physique being like, I need more chest, I need more arms here. But
Yeah,
obviously you're 8 weeks out and you can't really do a huge amount about that. So then it's like it's almost like a bit bittersweet when you're seeing your weaknesses coming through more than your strengths, like within a
yeah,
contest prep. And it's just like,
yeah.
oh, I want to get back to growing.
Especially with the longer preps, like obviously we've all done long preps, and you feel great at the end, and my energy was still in a crazy good spot looking back at it. Uh, and even though you feel good, your training's great, it's like body parts just start to fade just a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and then you're like, oh well, that's kind of the end of the road here. So it's like I know Cam, you've talked about kind of fading towards the back end of your prep in 23 a little bit.
Yeah.
How many
Yeah.
weeks was yours, Aidan?
From start to finish, 38.
38.
Ooh,
Was you
I
40?
think that's the same as me. I'll need to total
Yeah,
mine up. Mine's either 38 or 37.
yeah.
Oh,
But it's the way that Worlds falls is just kind of
Yeah.
Yeah.
happens to be that way.
I think they need to bring that forward a little bit. I
Yeah,
think like start
everyone's
of
losing
November,
muscle by Worlds.
Do you know
because
what?
the physiques that get on the world stage are not the best in the world, because the
yeah,
people have either pulled out because of the duration of the prep, or the people that get on stage aren't showing their best because it's too long. I think they
All
need to
right.
bring that show to like maybe end of October, start of November, but it needs to align with obviously the American calendar, because a lot of their shows are just like kind of towards October, November time. Hence why the Worlds is a little bit later as well.
It's all right for the pros because they're like your man was talking about it the other day, Professor. I forget his real name, but that's his Instagram handle. Everyone knows him as that. Mate, like
yeah,
that's like his second show he's planning to do this year, you know, so like it's all right for them. They just show up, do that show, maybe one more the week later. Brilliant.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, if you're an amateur and you've done like a full season, I think it's a bit of a stretch. Like it would even be good to bring it to like early November, in my opinion. Because
Mhm.
whenever I was
yeah,
doing it, I found like the gap for me between um the INBA, PNBA, Natural Universe in Romania, which was like the 20th of October to the Worlds, seemed like crazy. Like it was only 3 or 4 weeks. The Worlds, I think, was like the 18th of November, but it seemed like it dragged.
yeah.
When you're at that peak condition, though, it's gonna probably be a fucking drag.
Yeah.
Aidan, do you know when you're going again? Have you decided?
Uh, we kind of have it in. So it's kind of done the same thing in my head when I came off. I was kind of starting to think about, all right, when do I want to go again? Didn't
Hmm.
say anything to AJ and kind of just let him kind of see what he thought as well. So we both kind of lined up as well of 28 kind of being the initial goal,
Another
but
3 year one?
pretty
3 year.
much replicate exactly what I did. Yeah. So same time frame off, especially to be competitive in those UK shows or international shows. Like we'll probably jump onto the MBW show that you're planning on doing next year, but um, to be competitive over there, need the time again. So 28 being the plan. If I do need an extra year, I'm not too bothered. I'll wait another year if I need to. I mean, I turned 30 in December, so I may as well just wait until Masters at this point, to be fair.
I mean, I'm not too far away from that either. But yeah, mate, I suppose that I do want to cover as well because I do think it deserves, especially, you know, when you have someone like yourself on a good bit of a chat. The WNBF Worlds, obviously you've done the MBW before that, which we'll cover, but the Worlds, obviously I'm sure going into the season, that was a big goal for yourself to get
Yeah.
there. I remember seeing the whiteboard. What was your overall experience like there? Did it live up to the hype, the expectation?
Yeah, May was sick. So good. Um, I've like the furthest I've ever traveled was to like Spain and like 2 hour plane. So
Okay.
that whole experience of the travel and everything was just insane. I don't know about you and that, like you mentioned that gap between the universe and the worlds. I think for MBW to worlds, I think it was a 6 week gap that I had.
Hmm.
Um, I almost forgot what it was like getting on stage. Like that whole week experience was just strange. It's like even when we're putting tan on, I'm like, I don't feel like I'm getting on stage tomorrow.
Hmm.
The
Yeah.
whole experience is just it's just a weird one. Uh, but the experience of being in LA, actually just being there for a show and everything was wild, nuts.
Competing
Uh,
abroad, like see those international shows is such a cool experience. Like I would
yeah,
urge everyone to do an international show if they can.
Yeah.
yeah,
Because like even the whole feeling of like traveling as an athlete, you feel like an actual professional.
Yeah.
It's just you
yeah,
can't describe it. And then all those little things like going to get the tan, the registration, seeing people from different countries and stuff.
yeah.
You can't describe it. No.
Yeah, like the guys at WNBF Ireland, they gave us all team jackets and stuff, and it was like, even like my grandparents wouldn't be wildly up to date on bodybuilding. They know it's like something that I do, and that my whole family's gotten more awareness of it over the last few years. But we rocked up to the house one day and just a Team Ireland jacket, and my grandparents are like mind blown. They're like,
Mm.
it's going to they think their grandson's going to like the Olympics or something. They're like,
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
representing Ireland. So it's a cool experience. The Saturday, so the amateur show, the turnout in the crowd definitely wasn't like crazy. It was still really good. Um, the pro show is always going to be the bigger attraction for there. And there was, to a degree, of like, you never see much from the amateur shows at Worlds. So you're
Mhm.
kind of going into it blind almost, which was nice as well. I wasn't going in with these big expectations, or like this guy's competing, or this is kind of the standard. It's that I really had no idea what to expect. So I was just going in super relaxed, super chilled. Um, we got to LA and it was pissing rain for the first like 3 days, which was a bit dull.
Mhm.
Uh, but yeah, outside of that was sick.
Very good. Did the organization of the show kind of as well maybe take you by surprise at all? Like I found it whenever I was there, I was like, this is mad. Like we had like an athletes meeting the day before and like all of that. It, like really
Yeah.
took me aback in comparison to I'm not sure what the NBW was like. Obviously we'll come on to that. I'm sure it was really well run as well. And obviously I know it
Hmm.
had like an event on the I think it was the Friday night where you got your photo taken and all,
Yeah.
which kind of it seems like something similar to Worlds, but for me, I just remember like turning up, and then you've obviously got weigh-ins. Like Eric Helms was walking around, and I was like, this is literally crazy. And
Yeah.
like, yeah, Alberto Nunez as well. So, um, yeah,
Yeah, that
what was
was
that whole?
the it was definitely surreal. I think
Mm,
like the fact that I'd never been to the States as a spectator or whatever, like the biggest show I had been to previously to that was the Worlds in Manchester, which was fairly quiet in comparison. There wasn't like too many, say, big name people there.
That was the
So
one
yeah,
in like June or something, wasn't it? It was like
yeah,
it was like mid
it was
season almost.
it was the kind of the equivalent of the one AJ done earlier this year, that like end of June, early
The
July,
one
I
he
think it
did out
was.
in Spain. That one,
Yeah,
yeah. Mhm.
yeah. So it's the equivalent of that. Standard was really good, but yeah, no, Worlds was, we done that athletes meeting like you were saying, kind of the day before. We all went, the Team Irish guys. We were all there, got our kind of team photo taken, and then they done all open bodybuilders in an athletes meeting on their own. Um, the meeting itself was kind of, it was quick, but yeah, it was kind of, we're standing in the back of the room. You're looking around the room. Nunez is in the corner. Uh, Jeff Alberts is kind of walking in the door at the back, and it's like, how have I ended up here? It's like it kind of starts to hit in of like, I competed in 22 and didn't place. It's like, how am I here all of a sudden? Um, yeah, nuts.
crazy. And then yeah, you obviously made like you done super well at that show as well. Coming second, and I didn't watch the live stream, but I mean, I saw the shots, and it looked like it was pretty touch and go. Did the guy that won your class get a pro card as well? Was that the?
Yeah, yeah,
So you only
yeah.
narrowly missed out.
Got close to that one. Went to chatting with a couple of judges afterwards, and they were kind of flipping back and forth between the two, which is always like, at first you're a little bit gutted. Uh,
Mm.
but we went to watch he competed on the Sunday from the UK. Donald, really nice guy. Everyone on that stage was super, super cool. We all had a bit of a chat kind of off stage. Um, but yeah, he competed on Sunday. I was sitting in the crowd. It's like, did not mind losing to that, mate. He looked good. He held his own in that lineup. I think he came fourth or fifth in that kind of pro show lineup.
Mhm.
Uh, but yeah, it wasn't something that obviously when the season started, I was like, I want to go to Worlds. You kind of have it in your head of you want to do the best that you can,
Yeah.
but you can never set too much expectations, especially when you're around this for so long. It's like you guys all know you can't control who shows up on the day. Like
Mhm.
another day, Nico doesn't compete at MBFI and I win that overall. Another day, Donald doesn't go to Worlds and I win that. So it's like you can never control those things. Um, so just kind of making the most of the time that you have there and looking at the strides I made from 22 and taking that as your win. Uh, but yeah, I tried to not set expectations of it. I think it was 3 or 4 days out from the show. AJ texted me and he was like, "This is the plan. If you're not competing Sunday, this is the plan. If you win the pro card and you're competing Sunday." I was like, "Oh fuck!" I was like, "All
Yeah.
right, here we go."
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, kind of sets it in motion a little bit, but you can't control it.
Yeah.
Two things I'd actually be interested to hear is the MBW's been like such a big topic of how well it was run. I'd like to hear if you preferred MBW or the Worlds. And then off the back of that, what was your actual favorite physique that you brought to stage? Was that early in the season or was it maybe Worlds at the back end?
Yeah. I suppose on that one, first of all, like Worlds was definitely the best look I think that I had.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
when we started the season, it was kind of like that was the goal, so we knew not to peak too early. Kind of get that like qualification because it was a big gap. I think WNBF was the first weekend of September, and then Worlds was like the second last week in November. So we knew the gap was big enough to not go too crazy out of the gate and give ourselves enough time. So I think overall, Worlds was my favorite look. Um, the MBW show I think was definitely the best ran show. Not just saying that. Um, Worlds, the production was class. Everyone was super lovely around it and the experience of it. The show itself ran super quick. I think I had eaten a meal, went into the venue and sat down, and it was like almost immediately they're flying through this. And it was just like I think I had like 40-minute gap between my pre-stage meal and the meal prior to it. And it was like backstage, quick kind of glaze, pump up, and then you're on stage. And it's like it was so quick we almost didn't have time to let all of that sink in a little bit more.
Yeah.
Whereas MBW pretty much ran to the T. Um, Backstage there was sick as well.
And they had that
The
MBW had that timer as well, didn't they? They had the clock. It was like counting down until the next
Yeah,
class, which is obviously very
counting down the TV was there as well, which is
yeah.
sick. There weren't the backstage area is nice and big as well. I know obviously the Irish shows backstage. Actually, MBFI this year was great. Backstage area was massive, but WNBF was small. MBFI in that Cork venue, you done Cameron, that's tiny.
Mhm.
Backstage at WNBF Worlds this year was tiny. Um, there was like a small little room in the back that everyone was kind of lying down. I walked in at one point and I couldn't even find a space to throw my stuff or sit down at all. And then there was like a small little corridor that you got to squeeze through to get to the actual side stage area. Um, so I think just from a relaxed atmosphere, MBW definitely provided the best one. Um, but I'm looking forward to seeing that show from a spectator side of things a little bit more this year too.
Are you gonna travel over for it and see it in
Oh yeah.
person? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to travel for that one. I'm debating going over to see the DFBA show in June. Um, Obviously with that being the first kind of DFBA standalone show, and I'm interested to see what that runs like, and what the standard is like at that. A little bit earlier in the year, so could be could be a funny one in terms of the standards, but debating heading over for that one.
Yeah, funny. I had sort of a similar experience at the Worlds as well. It was ran like super quick.
Hmm.
I actually remember like hearing what time I was going to get on stage. I think it was the night before at the athletes meeting, the way it worked out, and then the following morning, I wasn't planning on getting to the venue too early because I'm kind of like that. I would rather not get there super early so that I'm sitting around fidgeting about, walking around all day. I'd rather just turn up like 2 hours, like, and then I've got enough time to chill, but also I'm not like, yeah, just sitting for too long. And
Yeah.
I remember Darren O'Leary, who was in the same class as me, obviously both representing Ireland. He messaged me and was like, Cam, you need to get down here. Like they're getting through this a lot quicker. So it kind of meant, yeah, I was rushed in backstage. Now that you say that, I remember it was kind of the same sort of experience. Don't think I had that long until I had my pre-stage meal in me, and then all of a sudden I was being ushered backstage with AJ. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, that's good, mate.
Their
Yeah, I
lighting
suppose.
setup was better this year, though, to be fair.
Yeah, that's a big one. I actually, that's the first question I asked AJ because I know he's definitely not been a big fan of the lighting in the previous years. The year I did it was really good, and then last year was pretty poor from what I heard, and then the year you did it. So yeah, last year
Yeah.
was pretty good, an improvement again, but
Yeah.
2024 apparently wasn't great.
Yeah, it didn't look great from pictures, or even I heard Steve Hall talking about it. He was on
Yeah.
like the end of the line and it just wasn't great. But Canada running it this year. So
Mm,
um interested to see how they run it. I think big steps all around of letting different kind of teams put on their own show, their experience. I think it's all just going to be um a good year of shows.
yeah, no, fingers crossed. I have looked up the venue as well because obviously I'm sneakily hoping
I
the
didn't know
lad.
that was out yet, actually.
Yeah, so um yeah, no, fingers crossed obviously that the lighting setup in there is good. But yeah, just to kind of expand a bit on Jake's question. I suppose then if you were looking back, your season as a whole, what show did you enjoy the most? Like your actual experience? Would it have been the World's MBW or maybe even the Irish shows or
Then they all had their benefits. So the Irish shows got some more of my family down. I think MBFI probably in terms of everybody that was there.
yeah.
Um, had AJ there backstage. I was the only one he had competing that day, so there was a little bit more focus on that, which was nice. I had some of my friends there that have never seen what I really look like, to be fair. So I'm always just when I'm hanging out with them, I'm hanging out with them. It's not bodybuilding, it's not gym, it's kind
Hmm.
of time spent with them. So for them to kind of come into that world and see that a little bit more, uh, having them there, my mom came to all my shows. She came over to Worlds as well, which was super cool. Uh, MBW, it was there on my own, so that was like a different kind of experience. I went over for the week. I think I flew out on Tuesday. Was competing on the Saturday, so I had like just an Airbnb to myself. It was probably the most relaxed week I could have had. Uh, and then Worlds would kind of all kind of hit me when I got off stage. I sat down, looked at the trophy, and kind of just started getting a little bit teary-eyed, to be fair. Uh, so I think they all had their little moments and their little highlights, but overall, that MBFI show probably takes the cake.
What
Yeah.
do you or what did you think of that MBFI stage? We've talked about this maybe in real life. I don't know if we've touched on it in the podcast, but I don't know if I'm a fan. Because
Why
was
not?
you walked up like the side of it instead of coming from like
Mate,
behind
I
the
like the
screen?
idea of walking upstairs.
Yeah, I
Okay.
didn't mind it. I didn't really think anything of it.
The
And
only
then
thing I wasn't a big fan of was just the amount of white.
yeah, this is the other thing I
Yeah,
was going to bring up.
Really just it. But I quite like the stage when I did my UKFBA British show in 2024. You were almost up on like a platform. So it was like the actual stage, and then you walked up on top of a platform. And it is kind of a cool feeling like walking upstairs and going on
yeah.
stage. So I quite
I
like
was at that show. I thought that one was a bit weird.
that was a very weird show.
I for the big classes as well, where they had like some people on the stage and then some people kind of on like the main level of the stage, but not on
Yeah.
the platform.
So
The
it was
thing
like
of the platform and that was bigger.
yeah, it was a bit bizarre. It was like the if you were in a call out, the first call out, you would go up onto the platform, but everyone else was literally on the stage, but just tucked away in the corner in the
Yeah.
complete background. So, we always talk about like judges will look at you, and maybe want to bring somebody into a call out. It's like you were in the shadow, you couldn't really be seen. So it was a little bit bizarre. I don't think they're going to use that venue again anyway. But
No. Yeah, I didn't think too much of the stairs. Uh, once you kind of took your time and you weren't too out of it and absolutely fall up the stairs and wreck yourself, you were fine.
Yeah.
Uh, The white, I didn't think too much of it, to be fair. I think if you didn't get your tan right, you were going to
Hmm.
be ghostly white on the stage. But um, overall, I thought the venue was super cool. It was better than the Cork venue, but I don't know what the Helix was like. But the Helix as a spectator, the Helix was mint.
Yeah. Yeah, for me the Helix was like the like I'm very glad I got to compete that year. It's a massive shame that the obviously, whatever happened there, they just won't see another bodybuilding show there. But yeah, it was a great experience backstage as well. It was huge. Like it was just class. But that's interesting because I've obviously been now to Cork and the RDS in Dublin,
Yeah,
and I was kind of wondering, which one would be better from a competitor experience. Because obviously I did think there was a big chance that this year it would be back in Cork because it seemed like what they were doing was they were flipping it, yeah, from Dublin to
yeah.
Cork. So, but naturally I was kind of put off by the massive distance. Obviously, Matt, you've done that show in Cork, and I heard
Yeah.
as well the backstage was kind of small.
Backstage was horrendous, so I knew it
Tiny.
was going to be bad. So I was like, right, I'm making sure as soon as they say people go backstage, I'm like first one there.
No.
Yeah,
So we went in. It was literally like a little PE changing room, but it was so narrow, and there was only about 5 chairs as well. So my junior class was pretty big. I think there was maybe 13, no, 11 or 13 of us. Might have been more
Mm.
actually. Um, so like the first 5 of us sat down, and everyone else was just like standing there, and there wasn't even enough space to sit down. So you were
yeah,
going out into the corridor to sit down, and it's like those little things. You put
yeah,
on a show, you want to bring the best athletes to the stage. Those little things make a difference. If you've got 10 athletes standing on their feet for an hour before they go on stage, they're not going to be at their best. So I
Yeah.
think when federations actually put a bit more attention into those little things, it really adds to the competitor experience and makes people want to go back and do the show again.
yeah.
Yeah.
Did you get backstage at the RDS camp?
Uh, yeah, I mean,
We
I
all
got
went
into
to the
the
big
tanning
room.
area, so that was the backstage, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. That was the only weird thing that the tents were like right there and
right
people are just going
there.
for their tan while everyone's
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
chilling out. But from how big the room is, you felt miles away from that. And then there was like another room off to the side where the toilets were that there were a bunch of people
yeah.
chilling in there as well.
You see, out of interest, when you were going for your first coat the night before, did you go there to get it, or was it somewhere else?
Uh,
There was a whole big delay, wasn't there? Because Nicola was coming over from England,
Ah, yeah, in the
and
boat.
there was the
yeah,
storm, so their flight, or no, the boat got delayed, and then the times for the tan ended up getting pushed back quite a bit. So I remember Rihanna was saying that her tan ended up getting delayed by a good couple of
Right,
hours.
I was
right.
trying to think. I was like, I actually don't remember. I didn't get tan the night before, so
Okay.
I done the show tan for so WNBF. I went down the day before, got the first coat there, and then got the next coat on the show day morning. And the only feedback I got from the show, and I could see it in the photos myself, I was way too pale. It
Hmm.
was not dark enough at all. So in 22, we done my own tan altogether. I didn't get any stage tan done at all. So going into MBFI, we done. I think I started tanning myself on Thursday. So I done like a coat Thursday, a coat Friday. We done another coat on Saturday, and then Nicola just coated me once on the Sunday in the morning.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. No, it just kind of popped back into my head that whenever I'd done the MBFI, there was like a show hotel in Dublin. Like it was like the one they
Hmm.
done the tanning out of, and you had to go to the top floor of it, and it was just such a crazy setup. It was mental. It's just this like the entire floor. I think it was like a penthouse suite they had obviously gotten for the tanning, and every window was open. There was huge fans, and I just remember standing outside on a balcony, in one of those tents, like freezing my arse off, just getting sprayed.
Mine was
Um,
similar. It was like top floor of a hotel, walking up flights and flights of stairs.
Hairs.
And
Yeah.
then the issue, so what was the name of the company?
Um,
Absolute shambles.
the girl
She's
that
called like
does it is a
Nora or
blonde.
something.
Yeah, Lorna or I'll find it. I'll find it.
Yeah, but essentially there was a load of drama happening. I don't know what the drama was, but the tanning ladies were all arguing with each other. So you're going into this environment, they're all arguing, you're like, shit, I need to get my tan here. And then I remember actually on show day, there was more issues where people were trying to get their top coat and they were running behind, and then we were supposed to get glaze done before going on stage, and they just went, no, we're not glazing you, and there was a whole big fallout. And so I managed to get glazed for my junior class because it was like, I think it was one of the first classes on, and then they just refused to give people any glaze, and they were like, no, they haven't paid for it. I was like, it was part of the tan. You pay for two tans and a glaze. And they're just like, no, we're not doing it. So MBFI weren't too happy with them, hence why they're no longer doing it.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think I'm not sure if it was the same person, Matt, but Nora.
Yeah, yeah, I knew it was something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Um,
Nicola's quality, Nicola's the business of what they
Yeah.
do.
Mhm.
I actually I want to say booked my tan the other day, but it's kind of funny. The NBFI haven't announced that she's doing it again this year. But if you go on I went on to her site through the MBW because the MBW are advertising her as doing the tanning, and there's an option for the MBFI on the 20th of September. So I was just like, ah, well, I may as well do it while I'm here. So she
Yep.
emailed me back and was like, oh, we're keen. Um, but yeah, just done it at the same time.
The
Um,
one thing on tannin I find is I don't know if you noticed the difference in like how the tannin girls or tannin people just approach it from like the Irish and UK shows to America is wild.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mate, like we went like over here you're kind of they'll book men separate, they'll book women on different time slots, they'll alternate every hour, they'll kind of give you your soccer or whatever, and then they kind of leave. Over in America, it's like you go in, they just pull you in a tent. It could be it's mix of everybody in there, and then they throw you in a tent and they just like stand there. You just
Yeah.
strip off. You're like, all right, no sock, none.
Yeah.
You're like, it's totally different.
Denmark was like that actually, but I was just thinking, oh, that's the Europeans for you. They're just a little
Yeah,
bit more free.
Yeah.
They're just a little bit right, whip it out and tan.
That was
yeah,
We're all adults here.
yeah.
So,
Yeah,
but
it
it's
was
interesting.
Romania for me as well. The Germans in particular, they didn't, there's no modesty. It's just, yeah,
Mate, you go to a beach on holiday and you see the Germans, you can spot them from a mile
a
away
mile
because they're
away.
not wearing anything. So
Yeah.
like,
How you intimidate them? You win the battle before they even show day, though. You don't need to stop.
not when
Right.
it's freezing, mate. Not when it's
Not
freezing.
one,
And
yeah.
now when you're pasty white like me as well, I'll just blind you altogether. Eyesight
Um,
ruined.
oh dear. Yeah, something else I wanted to cover in because I remember reading it in your log, and then you were obviously chatting to me about it a bit. Was you changed jobs on prep, didn't you? Um,
Yeah,
so you went through quite a bit of a transition there. A lot of people would shy away from that, myself included, to be fair, because like I always recommend, like, anyone I'm speaking to, it's like you need to have like everything in check, whether it's finances, your work, relationships, all these things before you jump into prep. But I remember reading in your log, you were like, I actually wanted to do this because I wanted to prove a point that you don't need to say no to, like, opportunities and stuff just because you're on prep.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, how did that come about? How did you find that challenging in the end, or?
No, it was like it was so I worked in gyms for 7 years. Um, and I was like kind of starting to just get a little bit dragged down by it all of obviously I'm in a gym for 8 hours on shift. I'm probably chatting to people in the gym for another 2 hours after that, and then I'm training for like another 2 hours, and it's your brain does just kind of get melted being in it, especially as we kind of talked earlier, where the environment starts to dip a little bit. It kind of kills the joy a little bit. So it was something I was looking at doing for a while. I didn't expect it to be in that moment. Um, but kind of an opportunity came up and I was like, screw, I'm just gonna jump at it. No, before I did it, I probably had 5 different sheets wrote out of potential like daily routines and kind of structures of how I'd fit the day. So I didn't jump into it and then try and figure out how my kind of day would work. I had that planned of, all right, if I get this job, this is probably what my day is going to look like from that. So it all kind of comes back to just planning things in advance. I think if
Mhm.
you can plan and prepare for everything, you'll be fine. But overall, it helped me in terms of when I went into the gym then throughout that last little bit of prep. I think it was 6 weeks out or 8 weeks out or something. I ended up changing job, a little bit more office environment. Um, so when I got into the gym then after work, I'm like, all right, I'm in the gym now. This is that time I wasn't burnt out from being in there hours a day. And it gave a little bit more purpose to just everything I was doing. So like my steps when I'm working in the gym, I was going around cleaning the gym floor. So I was doing like steps like taking over kind of as the day went on. Whereas I'm
Mhm.
in the office now, I get a break and I actually get a proper block of steps. And it's just everything became a little bit more intentful. And then the team I joined on board with as well, I didn't say anything for ages to them. So I wanted the same thing of like you guys know people make bodybuilding their entire identity and it does just kind of it burns you out a little bit if it's everything that you do. So I wanted to go in and not say anything at all. I wanted to get through shows. I wanted to get through everything without mentioning it. And then it was someone was leaving the company a few weeks, like 2 weeks out or something. So they brought in cake and they were offering me cake. And I was just like, no, no, I'm all right. And then it's
Yeah.
like it took a few offers for them to be like, what's wrong with you?
Mhm.
So I just had to be like, no, I've got like an event coming up. And I was like, slowly they ended up finding out what I did. But they think it's super cool. They think it's class, and they gave me the time off to go to Worlds and stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah,
I
couldn't
remember
have
I
been better.
remember being in the retail job during prep, and I had to tell them I was like, "Look, I'm a bodybuilder. I'm competing in shows," and they were like buzzing about it. They were like, "Oh, that's so cool." They actually took a good interest in it. But then
Yeah,
it was all the food comments. So they would always like on a Friday, people would go to the Sainsbury's beside bringing a load of food and stuff, and they're all making little jokes like, "Oh, you can't eat this, you can't do that." I was like, "Oh, you eating the same thing again?" And it's like it's funny at the start, but then it's just like every time it's just mentioning food and constantly reminding you that you can't have something that they
yeah,
can. And even if you are like, we're obviously very disciplined and we're obviously very focused on what we're doing, but the constant just like yapping and chipping away at your ear, it does kind of grind your gears up to a certain point, and you're just like, can you please just leave me alone? Let me eat my spinach and chicken here.
yeah,
Well, you should have tipped them and said to AJ or Finn, just be like, ran a mock peak here. Woke up
High
looking
day, high day,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I
Ian,
definitely used to get that more in like other environments, but in this current spot now, they don't do any of that really at all, which is great. But I think if you can somewhat expose yourself to those environments as well, it makes things way easier in the long run at the same time.
my current job, everyone actually just they don't care that I'm eating weird combos. They're sort of more like fair play, you eat so healthy. It's like
Yeah.
they're sort of interested in
I
the
was going
combos
to say
actually.
they're like fascinated by what you're eating and like, oh,
Yeah.
that's cool. Never thought
Um,
about that.
The job transition though, Aidan, you mentioned that it was sort of better for like the mentality or the mindset towards training and stuff,
Yeah.
having like work and training separate, but like for your day to day or like schedule for ticking boxes, did that make it more challenging the new job or was it easier in the gym or is it easier in the office environment?
Uh, it was different at first, but it was very similar to what I used to do. So I used to work a shift in the gym that was very similar to the time shift that I'm doing now.
All
So in
right.
terms of that standpoint, it was fine. The shift I was doing right before getting this new job, I was opening the gym at 6 a.m. So I was up at 4, finishing at 2. So I was getting into the gym when it was nice and quiet. So the most challenging thing at first was going back to training at like peak time in the gym and not getting to bed at like 7, 8 p.m. like I was doing, going back to a regular bedtime of like 9:30.
Mm-hmm.
But once I kind of adapted to that, it was fine.
CBAM, you sort of work on that like later sleep schedule, don't you? You'd go
Yeah, at the
after
minute.
10.
At the minute, anyway, yeah. And I would say I probably will do next year as well on prep. I didn't in 2023. whenever I was prepping, I actually started to go to bed like way earlier and wake up at like 5, 6, do my shots, get out for basically all my steps and do it that way. Um,
Yeah, once you're doing the daily check-ins, your
yeah,
whole day just becomes way longer of trying to do those every morning.
every morning. Yeah. Especially if, it's a bit different if you have like a static posing setup, whereas for me, like I need to pack it up every time, set it up every morning. It is a bit of a ball ache, but it's obviously very much so worth doing. And I think as well it is needed when you get to that stage in prep. But yeah, as you said, it just takes a bit more time. But no, personally, I mean, I think it'll be all right. I don't think the like change of bedtime or like time at all will affect me that much. Sometimes actually I think back to my own prep and I think maybe something that could have made it worse. Like it'll be interesting to see this time. I came from going to bed at like 10, 11 o'clock at night and following this routine that like set in at the moment. Just in 2023, I didn't have to go into the office, didn't have to maybe do all of that sort of thing, which I have to do a couple of days a week now. But my routine was probably pretty similar to what it's at the minute. But as soon as I started prep, I decided, no, I'm going to shift everything. And I actually sometimes think looking back, maybe like that drastic switch made it worse. Because you know the way people do say you
Yeah.
should really be changing these things. You should just, it should just kind of be natural. The only thing that should really change is yes, you might have to do cardio. And yes, you might obviously have to eat quite a bit less. So I'd be interested to see, I'm actually kind of tempted to keep the later bedtime, waking up slightly later running for prep. But yeah, it does kind of I think you do get the stage. Like sure, remember age, I was waking up at like 3 in the morning. You do get the stage
Yeah,
where
yeah.
Does he
it's
does?
sleep.
I was listening to a podcast. That's why I brought it up. His sleep schedule is like 7 or 8 till like 4
Yeah.
a.m. Like 7 or 8
Yeah.
bedtime. I'm something similar. See, after 9 p.m., I'm rarely up past that. And if I am, I don't want to be up, which is so weird. I'm literally 20, and like all of 3 years ago, I was going out drinking on a Saturday night, and you're up till like 3 o'clock in the morning, and now I don't want to be up past
Yeah.
9 p.m. It's fucking weird how things shift.
I know.
I think it's
I
also
know.
like especially with prep, you want to almost get as much done early as you can. So if you
Yeah.
know you need to be into the office by 9, you might not have to leave the house by 8, for example, depending on traffic. You need to take your check-in shots. You maybe need to do cardio. You need to maybe do some steps, get your first meal in. Suddenly, the more like especially the deeper in prep you get, the earlier you'll start to wake. And like even for me, thinking to this season coming ahead, I'm like, well, if I'm maybe starting some calls at like 7 o'clock and I want to get my first meal in, I need to do steps, maybe cardio, pose. I could be getting up at like 5 o'clock in the morning. So then you're
Yeah.
obviously working back and thinking, right, maybe 8.5, 9 hours in bed, maybe 8 hours of sleep. And then
Yeah.
suddenly you're in bed by 9 o'clock and you need to get sort of winding down by 8. So it's just funny
Yeah.
how, like, especially the transition throughout prep, the deeper you get, the more locked in you get on that schedule, but the earlier you actually start to wake up.
I think my ideal sleep schedule would be 8 o'clock bedtime, 5 a.m. wake. I love waking up at 5. You touched on like getting more done in the morning there, Butcher, and I think definitely as you get leaner and energy's less available, you start to value that evening wind down like big time.
Mm.
Like see in my diet, although I didn't get stage lean. I still pulled off a good amount of weight, so like fatigue was pretty high, and you'd get to the end of the day and you'd like, all I really want to do is sit on the couch, watch an episode of TV with my final meal and go to bed. You don't want to be thinking about doing anything in the evenings.
I
Yeah.
remember like I was working two different jobs at the same time, but they would both kind of finish around 5, half 5. I remember as soon as I got home, I wasn't doing a single thing. It was like from 6 o'clock, I could actually barely hold a conversation because I'd got so much done early on and in the afternoons that I would get to like 6 o'clock and I could not have a conversation with anyone. I remember just getting my meal, going up to my bed, and literally just lying down. All my steps were done, didn't have a single thing to do. But I actually think that probably impacted me mentally quite a bit, where I was becoming. You always talk about being present. It was like I wasn't present because I was like putting myself away in my room because I was almost telling myself I was more tired than what I actually was. And it might have been better to even just have like an evening walk or something to get me out of the house and move. Yes, there's no demanding tasks like doing cardio or a big chunk of steps, but even just little things like that maybe mentally would have benefited me quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, like even now I try and have like I have less than 1,000 steps by the time I get home from training at the moment. Of just I'll either get them done just around the house or I'll get like 5 minutes after my last meal. But there were some days on prep when I was working in the gym that I'd be spending a little bit more time at the desk because I was like the only one there for the majority of my shift. I'd get home and I have like you're saying, a big chunk of steps to do. And I'm almost stressing over these
Yeah.
steps that I have, and I'm almost running on the treadmill to try and get them done faster. Heart rate's through the roof, and then I'm trying to wind down for bed, and it's no good. So yeah, I think if you can save just a little bit, that you're not going to be totally mashed when you go home, uh, probably the play. But yeah, I think going back to what you were saying, Cameron, of going in, it's like starting prep and trying to change your whole routine around straight away. And it's definitely something I've seen more people trying to prep this year or going through their prep this year that maybe didn't quite make it all the way, of just intensifying that process from right out the gate versus like I literally cruised in, didn't change anything, and then just kind of slowly ramped it up from there. But I think if some people go in, they change their routine, they're like, I'm going to get up at this, I'm going to do cardio this amount of time, and immediately it's like prep day one and prep day two and prep day three, and it's just goes back to just burning yourself out again.
Yeah. Massively. Yeah, I honestly I do think I'm probably gonna try and stick to I'm sure we'll have to get up a little bit earlier just to handle check-ins and stuff. Like whenever I
Yeah,
check in on a Tuesday at the minute, I get up like a good bit earlier anyway to take my shots. But I might not try and just, make sweeping changes the same way that I did last time to just even just see what differences I find there.
yeah.
Um but
Did
yeah,
you
mate.
do macros for your first prep, or did you do meal plan for your
Yeah, I
prep?
did. I did. Yeah, macros the whole way.
Yeah, you're
But
going so do the same thing again this time.
yeah, I mean, this is the thing though. Like, I was on macros, but like, I didn't. It's not too far from a meal plan. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, especially whenever I was on prep, what I would do is every single night I would get into bed and literally for 5 minutes I would literally have planned out on my fitness pal what I'm having the next day. And a lot of the time, what I was doing was literally clicking the three dots and going copy meal from today to tomorrow, and it was always
yeah,
it literally was like clockwork. Just because I found it easy to do that. In terms of like buying food and stuff as well. Um, yeah, like I by my stand, it wasn't like I was taking a piss on prep because I was on macros. Like I certainly wasn't. It was the most by the books I've ever been in terms of like sticking rigidly to calories. And at one point, like I was tracking these, I was tracking sauces, all of those things, even veg to a degree, to be honest.
yeah,
Um, I definitely became sort of uber obsessed with making sure that every morsel of food was tracked towards the back end. But
yeah. Because I
yeah,
done macros in 22. I could not go back to doing that.
the back.
Well, I probably could now. I think I'm more up to speed with kind of what I need and more educated on it. But
Yeah,
yeah, that mate, pre-workout, bagels, chunky Biscoff spread, fit the macros, happy days.
happy days. Yeah, I
The
think.
major downside to macros for me was I would constantly go back and change my meals. I'd be like, you know what? I don't want 15 grams of peanut butter in my next meal. I want 10 grams of dark chocolate
Yeah,
and 5 grams of something. And it would constantly just be this
Yeah.
like me going back on myself, changing my meals. So I think if you're like me, when I done that, macros doesn't work for you. But if you can just set it, like maybe the night before, like CBAM
yeah.
said, and just stick to that, I think it works.
It threw my food focus through the roof in
That's
comparison
That's
what
to
I was
this
going to
exactly
time.
what
say.
it is.
Through
That
the
is the only
roof.
downside, like the food focus you have, where you're suddenly thinking, I can eat anything as long as
Yeah,
I fit it in. That's when it
Yeah.
just wrecks your head completely. And even for me, I'm making like at the minute, I am still on a meal plan, but there are times when instead of maybe having beef and rice for my last meal, I'll have cream of rice.
No, for
Just
Yeah,
make it. It's
I'm kind
essentially
of doing that now as well.
uh
Of like I might swap out cream of rice for rice pudding, or you're swapping out kind of similar scenarios. But yeah, that one. Or I had my Instagram in 22. I had a save folder
no.
of made
yeah.
hundreds
Oh
of baked
no.
oats recipes, and I have not made baked oats
Wanna-
once in my life.
Yeah.
But I had hundreds of saved folders, been like, oh, this looks banging. I'm gonna make this when prep is done. Still not made it.
What was the Instagram Explorer page looking like?
It was baked oats, mate, for
Just
days, just
Uh,
just baked
everywhere.
oats? Yeah.
Have you
Baked oats
made
and some
the
fast baked oats and burgers, but pretty much just baked oats.
Mate, that like
have you
unlocked
got
a
that in?
core memory for me there. Mine was fucked. Like my Explore
It was
page was
so bad.
actually fucked. It went from like girls and cars to just pure like just pure junk food on
Yeah.
prep, and then the old training clip was hectic. Like I forgot how bad that happened. Like oh yeah,
See, at
but
the
I was
time I liked
skinny.
it. And looking back, I'm like, what was I doing?
Yeah, mate.
I don't
Like
think I had one food thing pop up this time around, which is
yeah, that's
so
good.
much better.
The way to handle it. Do you ever look back or like think back to when you were sort of peak deficit and be like, what did I actually talk about? Because I've thought about this before, and it's like your mind just wants to talk about food. Like
Yeah,
you know the way you become less sociable when you're leaner and you've less
Mm.
energy. But if someone mentions like food, you'll be that's the most energy you're given towards a conversation all day. And I just look back and cringe, and I'm like, if someone starts talking about food now, I really don't care to a degree.
That's
Sometimes,
bollocks.
yeah,
That's absolute bollocks, mate.
no, no, no.
Once
And
no one brings up Ginza, he's fine.
yeah,
Mate,
no, Gaines
see,
is different.
see when we honestly some of those conversations we have in the Clio post workout when we're chatting about food.
No, but I'm talking like say in work someone's talking about this food and it's like it's just like general food and it's like ugh, I really don't care. I just eat my meals. But in a deficit, if someone mentions like oh they're having vegetables with this meal, I'm like oh what
It's
vegetables
always
you
like
got?
somebody will say something, oh, I'm maybe going out and I got this beef, and I go, oh, beef. Oh.
Oh, oh I love beef.
It's always just like the food, and then oh, Nando sauce. Oh,
oh
Oh,
class. I'm pretty confident I remember having a conversation with you, Butcher, about seasonings when I was on prep, and
mate,
I was going,
You
oh,
were
seasonings was
big
the
into
these
worst.
that.
are
Somebody would
banging.
talk about some like random Brazilian seasoning that they'd
Oh,
seen in Sainsbury's, and I'd be like, oh, that sounds
look,
oh.
I never actually go to Sainsbury's, but I must go just to get
Yeah,
this
I'm
one
going there after
seasoning
work here.
because I'm on prep. Yeah. Um.
That was the
Oh,
how
thing.
did
Like
you guys find?
I was just going to say, I was so heavily food focused, but on like barbecue stuff because it was barbecuing every day. So I wasn't getting like burgers and pizzas coming up. I was getting like mad, like American smokehouse barbecue stuff, thinking like, how can I recreate this with my chicken? Like, how
Chicken
can I
breast.
do it with a
Yeah,
chicken breast? And that's when the seasoning addiction sort of started. So
yeah.
say those things where you're like, when someone mentions it, and you're like, oh, sounds great. It's like, what did you guys find you were doing that on prep of stuff that prior to prep you thought was just grim?
Yeah.
Like, I found taste bud changes on prep are the most mind-blowing thing.
Strange
wild.
thing ever. Yeah. I was
Like
literally
before
talking.
my first prep, I even now I don't put sauce on any food. I am not a sauce person, but 0 calorie barbecue sauces on that first prep I thought was the best thing I have ever tasted. Literally, even now it's like I have mushrooms and sprouts and stuff in my diet now. Where prior to even this prep, I'm like, nah, mate, they're gross.
Yeah.
But now they're unreal.
I
Yeah.
actually don't find my taste buds change that much. I appreciate the food that I eat way more in a diet, but like actual like food variety, I don't really change what I like because to be honest, I just like everything. I can't really think of many foods that I don't like.
I think mine was like vegetables. Like prior to my 2022 prep, the only vegetable I would have eaten was spinach. That was the only veg I ate on prep.
Mm.
It was like I remember my meals were literally like meals 2 and 3 were 50 grams of spinach, 150 chicken, 5 mils of olive oil. And then after prep, I was like, I can't wait to eat different veg here. And
Yeah.
then like courgettes, peppers, everything, I absolutely love them. It's like the blander the food, the more like your taste buds have changed and like this actually tastes really good.
Yeah, I was just
Yeah.
saying broccoli was all I was eating, and now it's like I've got carrots, I've got sweet corn, I've got
Mhm.
everything's in there now, and I'm like, this is the highlight of my day.
See, what we were just talking about, like someone bringing up food. If I was peak deficit and someone said sweet corn to me, I'd probably like produce a little bit of semen. I'd just be like, oh,
Once again, mate, I'm thinking back to the barbecue, like putting a full corn on the cob on the barbecue, charring that up. Like that would be even now, I'm not even in the deficit, and I'm thinking that would be unbelievable.
and it's always, oh, I'm gonna eat that in the off season. Oh, yep, that's going
Yeah,
to
Yeah,
the
yeah.
meal
yeah,
plan. Never fucking touched it.
never do.
Yeah. I was talking to Caleb last night in the gym about this because a couple of nights ago I had like this is another one that'll get Jake tweaking, but I had the most like absurd uh calories and macros left for the day. And in the end I was like, what I'm gonna do here is like this pack of three pancakes I have for my carbs, and I'll toast those, and I need some protein here. Look at that face already. It's like I need some protein here, so I'll make some whey paste and I'll just do that because I'm not drinking another shake. It was Perform Whey. And whenever I was like eating these pancakes that had whey paste on them, I actually thought back and was like, Butcher, I remember talking to you on prep and like salivating over this meal, going, bro, like this would be like next level. Imagine getting the Chocolatella Perform and making it into like fake Nutella, and then you
Yeah.
can put it in your pancakes, and
It's
it's
a
just like
crap.
unreal. And I actually was like, I was eating it, and I was like, mate, this is fucked. Like this is stinking. How was this like the pinnacle of like prep 2023 here? Because Josh, it was Josh Campbell was in the middle of his pancake phase as well. So I was like, oh, pancakes.
I
It
seen
is
on a story
crazy.
that Connor Lewis is making that exact meal post-workout
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I saw
yeah.
that. I
With the
remember
creamy.
making an egg white pancake. So it was supposed to be eggs. It was like an egg white omelet with spinach, and then there was something else with it. And I remember thinking maybe I'll just make like a sweet version of this and see what it's like. And it was the worst meal I've ever eaten in my
Never
life.
have.
It was like egg whites, and I threw cinnamon in it because I didn't have anything else. Threw cinnamon on top of the egg whites, and then made whey paste, put it over the top, a couple of blueberries, and it was vile. And I was like, you know what, this isn't
That
good for
doesn't
me.
appeal to me at all.
I'd rather just eat what's on my meal plan here and just
Yeah.
just crack on,
Stick.
not
Yeah,
even think about food.
I was doing those egg white scoop of whey mug cakes.
Mm.
They
Mm.
were legit. Did you
Um,
guys get any like weird addictions on prep or something that you're like going into your next prep, you're saying, okay, I done this last time. I want to stay away from doing that this time. Because I've got one.
What's
Like,
yours?
is yours the creamy?
No, that was only for this prep. That was top tier. Once I have a bit of warmth on me again, they're going back in every now and then.
Oh,
But
seriously?
my 22 prep, I got a crippling addiction to chewing gum.
Oh, I tried to stay away. I like one or two
I
pieces would hurt my stomach, and I was like, no, I'm gonna, for the greater
no,
good, I'm not gonna chew it.
you guys know the small, they're extra like the refreshers, they're the big chunky ones.
Yes, yes, I do.
Yeah, I'd buy the big tub of them. I'd pop two because they're the tropical flavor and they're strong. I'd get the flavor, dump them out, two more, get the flavor, dump them out, two more. I don't know how my digestion was not real. My digestion was perfect. It was unreal. But no,
Fucking
I went
hell.
through this whole prep and not one piece of chewing gum. I was like, that was the one thing on the prep. I was like, all right, I'm not having any chewing gum this prep around.
I don't
I
know
did. I
what
don't
mine
think I
was.
got anything like that.
Mine was decaf coffee because I was just like I think because it was so cold as well. Like the 7 Up cans weren't hitting, and I
Yeah.
was like, I need to warm myself up, and it was literally like in between meals. So I suppose this was quite good. It was like have a meal, or later have a beverage, then wait a while, next meal. But it was like decaf coffee interspersed between every single meal, and it was ruining my digestion. I wasn't enjoying the coffee. So yeah, I'd say I'd definitely calm down on them next prep.
Oh, actually, I could put flavored water on the table. I haven't had a bottle of flavored water in fucking ages. I've really just tried to like limit artificial sweeteners and anything
Yeah.
that can impact digestion. But mate, see, even my off season when I was over like
This is
200
plain
k
water in
pounds,
a strawberry bottle.
Yeah, I mean, just plain.
um, even in the off season when I was like 4,500 calories, I was still loving flavored water, and I'm like, I just stay away from it now. Just go.
Um,
The more you sort of focus on getting like a hit of flavor in between meals, I think that's a slippery slope as well, and getting your food focus ramped up.
I know one of
problem
the
is
guys was telling me he had he
you're
had
right.
one of his prep. He'd drink a bottle of Pepsi. I don't know if he listens to this, but he'd probably think it's hilarious if I tell the story. He'd drink a bottle of Pepsi Max, and he's like, instead of burping, he would just hold it
Fuck.
so he could keep that feeling of just feeling full. And he
That's
told me this. I
horrific.
was like, mate, that is diabolical.
Oh, that's one of the worst I've heard.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that is bad.
I'm not topping
Fucking
that.
hell. I think the worst thing is just when you're honestly for me sitting around the house doing nothing because you're like I always need a drink. If it's not water, what is it?
Yeah.
And then that's whenever I found I started up. For me, it's 100% like carbonated drinks, not even necessarily the caffeine. Caffeine kind of got a bit out of control for me last prep, but I definitely kind of fall into the, well, look, bro, like right now you're fucked and you're probably not going to feel like this again. So if you're ever going to deploy this, probably use it now. But at the same time, I do think a gram of caffeine a day is probably too much. So yeah, I would wind back on those. Another quite funny one is probably the quantity of mushrooms that I utilized was not ideal. Um, Yeah. I was banging like one of those 200-gram punnets of mushrooms in my breakfast every morning because of the volume and the calories. And mate, like you got some amount of food out of that, but like yeah, not like in hindsight, probably something I just wouldn't do again.
Great for antioxidants, though. You're probably
Yeah. Yeah,
great.
I don't know if
Beans.
I don't think I've mentioned this on the podcast, but I've definitely told you boys about it before, where I went home early from work because it
I
essentially
heard this from
the
Finn.
um,
the
He had
mushroom
too many
story.
mushrooms.
yeah.
Yeah, too many mushrooms, too much seasoning on the mushrooms, and made just ruined my stomach. I went into work half an hour in. I'd been to the toilet like three times. I was like, I
Oh,
cannot
mate.
get through this 8 hour shift. Like my stomach was in absolute pieces, and I was like, I need to go home here. So I literally just said, I was like, oh, I think I've got a stomach bug, food bug, or something. Didn't say, oh, I've eaten too many mushrooms.
Guys, I can't lie. When choosing vegetables, I don't know why you go mushrooms. I think there's such better options. Like,
See if you season them with garlic, to be fair, like garlic
Like,
powder, they are pretty good.
oh, they're garlic mushrooms from like Domino's or something.
They
yeah,
are, mate.
see on
Yeah,
prep though, we talked about the taste buds changing, like the taste like restaurant quality.
they
If
do.
you're having it with like your eggs and stuff in the morning,
Plus, yeah, they're like a
it's good.
pretty staple breakfast vegetable, Jake. Like
Yeah,
people, if they're making like a fucking
Yeah.
fry,
Aye.
it's tomato, which I've never believed in. Like, why are you frying a tomato and frying it on with eggs and whatever, or mushrooms, isn't it? There's not really
yeah.
another.
Yeah.
So that's why, really.
But I'd want Brussels sprouts in it, like generally. Good
Well,
vegetable.
like a sourdough egg meal with Brussels sprouts.
Yeah, that's what I do. I have not meal, I do my veg on the side just in a mug, and I'm like, fuck, give me Brussels sprouts.
Well,
It's
it's not really with the
diabolical.
meal though, is it? As I know
Well,
it's like separate, but like I'm talking about if you're putting it on a plate.
on
My
a plate,
breakfast when I was doing my macros on the first prep was scrambled eggs and air fried potatoes just mixed in a bowl, mate. Unreal.
that would hit to be
That
fair.
sounds good.
Unreal.
Sounds good.
Now it's cream of rice.
Oh,
Also sounds good.
hear me break.
Yeah.
Um, we've been running for a while. I have a couple of questions. Will we crack on with those? Because
Yeah, go for it.
to be fair, are more so aimed at Aiden, than the rest of us. So we'll kick off. Shay McCall, kind of, well, actually, we'll go with that one first. Aiden's long-term competitive goals.
Pro cards.
Pro
Pro
cards,
Yeah,
pro
not one
cards.
federation, just as many
Multiple.
Just all of them.
Yeah.
collect them,
As
Infinity Stones.
this
Yeah.
so this season it was like it was split decision at the NBFI, which would have been a pro card, obviously. Now that would have been going into the MBW Pro Show, which
Mhm.
not ready for that. And I'm glad I didn't get it. No, AJ wouldn't have let me do it anyway because I'm not at that standard. WNBF Pro Card, obviously they offer weight classes in a pro division. So as a competitive pro, WNBF is probably the place that I'd be in terms of they have the weight classes available. Um, but long term wise, I don't want to win it unless I'm at that standard of it. So this off season, build a pro standard physique and then go back and kind of see where we land.
I think you're closer than you maybe think. Like we obviously
I
talked
think we're
about,
all probably closer than we think.
yeah, you know that Donald guy who beat you, like what was
Yeah,
like top five or something at the Worlds.
yeah,
Like on another day, you could have won that pro card and potentially got top five. I know it's all if buts and maybes, but
yeah.
I think everyone is probably closer than they think. But being bodybuilders, we're always thinking we need to improve because you're wanting to be the best. You're not wanting to be top 10 in the world. You're wanting to be number one. So
Yeah.
yeah. Hmm.
Um, Good stuff. Another random one here from Shay. What's each of your favorite pair of shoes? The reason I'm asking this is, am I right, Aidan? You definitely have some decent pairs of Jordans and stuff.
I have a couple. I kind of just have the one like a brown pair on rotation at the minute, pretty much. Yeah. Uh, yeah. Jordan mids or highs, can't go wrong.
I think my
I haven't worn
Birks,
low tops in forever.
no tops.
Yeah, no, I know. I always think of you as like a high tops
Yeah.
person in
I
the
keep
gym,
wanting to get a pair to
especially.
try them out, but
Mhm.
I wear Vivos in the gym now, pretty much
Yeah, I've
religiously.
seen that. You have the same ones AJ has, don't you? The ones with the brown, like,
Yeah. So
although he has a couple
it was
pairs.
like 2 weeks. So I used to get fallen arches a lot. Um, so I suppose a random fact, I started martial arts when I was 6. Um, so from doing that, my feet were just ruined. I used to get fallen arches all the time. They'd be killing me. So I used to wear insoles, and then 2 weeks into this prep on a leg press, I just got a shooting pain in my right knee, which gave me problems 2 or 3 years ago as well.
Hmm.
Um, so I was like 2 weeks into prep, it's already ruined, written off. I was like, screw it, I'm gonna try barefoot, strengthen them up. And one day I forgot to put my insoles in my shoes, and I don't need them anymore. My knee's the best it's ever been. So they've just strengthened up I don't know, my feet or just everything joint wise in my lower body, just having the barefoots. So yeah, they won't be going anywhere.
Very good. Good stuff. Lads,
I said my Birks. I've got a pair. I've got the sandals and the clogs. I wear the clogs around the house at the minute, but the sandals are sort of the goat. That's what I've been wearing to train for, I don't know, it might be a year now. Couldn't imagine wearing like a normal pair of shoes to go to the gym now. So,
I I feel like I'm going against myself when I say my Birkenstocks aren't my favorites anymore. It's like the what do you
New
call
Balances?
them? 740s, these ones.
yeah.
I'm just going comfort nowadays. I don't care how I look. Like these just feel like I'm wearing clouds on my feet. But
What's
Yeah.
your set the trend of the Birkins and then everyone else hopped on, so we just
I
dipped.
know I'm like, fuck that, I'm away now.
I'm away now.
Ruined it.
It's,
You've ruined it.
yeah, it's shit. Um, yeah, for me it would be Vivos. Like, I'm not even sure if Shay meant like in the gym, but that's kind of the angle we've taken on this. But for me, like, yeah, the Vivos are the one of the best investments I've made. In terms of my time in the gym, I have two pairs now, and um, I would much rather wear them than squat shoes as well. I don't know why, but like.
Yeah.
e- e- I suppose we're lucky with the Arsenal leg press. So if we do want, um, to use something with that sort of angle and ankle flexion, then yeah, you've got that. As opposed to having to wear squat shoes. But bought a pair of squat shoes a couple of years ago, and I thought, oh, these are pretty good. But now the Vivos for me are just. I'd choose them any day. They're class, and even like you probably get a few strange looks, but even like outside of the gym, like I wear them walking around Tesco's and stuff after training, and
Yeah.
they're class. Um, Grant. Let's see. There's a few other crackers here. Stuart Jess, client of Jake Byers.
goat.
If you were to hit only one pose for the rest of your life, what would it be and why?
Front lat spread. It's my only good pose. Simple answer.
Simple answer. Aiden.
Uh, Side tricep. So I've got a decent side leg and a decent side arm.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say it has to show off your side leg,
Yeah.
whatever you choose.
Butcher.
Even a back double for you, mate. A back double.
Yeah, that was
I
another
remember
one that
seeing that
was.
on stage and being like,
Mm,
Yeah,
yeah.
I actually got some striations in my glutes this time, which I didn't know if I would.
uh,
Butcher, would yours be a back double? Yeah.
back lat spread, back relaxed, back relaxed.
Rear relax. Yeah, that's mega pose.
Do you know what's funny
I'd
about
probably
that?
go front lat.
Yeah. Do you know what's funny about that though, Jake? Like my rear relax probably is one of my best poses. So there's that. I actually remember hitting it in front of Finn in the physique club, and he was like, "Here, see, Van, that's a good pose on you." And I was like, "Yeah, I know. Should be doing well in this, mate." I honestly don't know. It honestly might be my front double, which is a bit of a strange one. But every time I hit it, people are like, "Oh, your top line's solid," so that's why I'm gonna go with that.
Your side chest is good too.
I was about to say
Yeah,
side chest is
yeah.
nice and round, nice and bubbly. I
I
think it's
feel
quite good.
like I feel like it's probably my favorite, but then I've hit it a lot. I feel like it's been done. It's probably like the rear three quarter is for you, Butcher, and that you feel like you've hit it a lot, but it's also um
I'm just thinking
Disappointed.
the rest of my life, the pains I would get in my back if I was constantly doing a twist and three-quarter rear
doing a
double.
twist and three quarter rear double. Yeah,
No.
yeah.
Disappointed no one said praying mantis. Okay.
Single leg needs to be single leg, mate. Just
Single leg B stance, praying mantis.
Um, got a good one here from Daniel Pentland. I'll only do a few more. What's the biggest myth in bodybuilding that needs to change?
Fuck.
Christ.
It's a bit of a thought-provoking one, that.
Myth. None are coming to head.
I'll leave
No,
that one in the background
you,
and give you a
unless it's
second
you
to think.
can't train without caffeine. Is that a myth?
It's actually a pretty solid one, to be fair. I think for kids nowadays, anyway, they would certainly believe that you have to go into the gym and crack a monster, or it's not going to be a good session.
you have to have a pre-workout that's got 500 milligrams of caffeine. You have
And
to.
Yeah,
200 grams of carbs.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to say this one, you have to train a specific way. That's the biggest myth for me. I think and I mean I've been guilty of it before, but like I honestly do believe like you can train whatever way that works best for you. There isn't a one size fits all with training. Some people might watch my clips and go, I could never do that. And some people might watch my clips and go, fuck, he trains pretty well, like fair play. Um I do what works for me, and at the end of the day, that's what I've been telling different people, clients, all the rest of it. Like, yes, to a degree, we know what good form, good execution looks like, but there's no sort of one size fits all.
Yeah.
And I mean,
Even within
guilty of
your
that.
even within your session, I think it's a conversation that different podcasts and stuff have beaten a dead horse over the last year. But even within your session, it's like I do a 4 rep RDL, but I'm not doing a 4 rep lateral raise at the same time, or I'm doing one set on a pendulum, but I'm not doing one set on a lat pull down. It's like having
Yeah,
different systems in the session as well.
My one was actually going to be that certain rep ranges belong with certain exercises.
Yep.
Like happily send like a 5 rep dumbbell lateral raise, to be honest. And I think it's building the same amount of muscle. Might not get you the same pump, but if you're executing it to a good standard, I think 5 reps on any movement is fine.
I disagree with that.
You
No,
always have some.
I
a
think if
five
you're
rep
doing it like
5 rep dumbbell lateral is
If
just
that's
like
getting you a pump, and then you finish it with a few partials, yeah, you're fully blown.
to be fair, partials on a dumbbell
yeah,
lateral I absolutely
yeah,
love.
I rate
If
those.
you do a good set of like once again I'm gonna say rep range, but let's say 10 to 15 on a dumbbell lateral, maybe even 8 to 10, 8 to 12, and then just like straight arm half rep and try and like match those reps. Like it's unbelievable. I think that's why I got such good delts. Because that's all I was doing when I started training.
I think
So
if you're sending a 5 rep lateral, maybe like once every 2 months just to see, but
but
I
then
couldn't hit
you're
that.
also not just doing 2 sets of a 5 repper. You would maybe do a 5 repper and then you would do like a slightly higher rep and then maybe
Yeah,
another one. So I understand that actually. Yeah, it's fair enough.
Okay. Um, two more here, which I'll cover as part of this, and then guys, listeners, there's obviously a few more. I will carry those over to the next podcast. They're not being cast aside, but just obviously some of these are more aimed at Aiden. Um, Shay asked again, hardest part of the post-show phase for everyone, and for Jake, hardest part of the post-diet.
Thanks for
Just so you're included.
Just
thanks for including me, Shay.
Aiden, do you
Uh,
want to go first for that? Seeing as obviously you're fresh out of prep.
Uh, Switching off from prep probably to a degree. So
Mm.
post prep, so I competed on the Saturday in the States. On Monday, we went to Universal Studios, and I had fully in my head, I was like, right, we're going to go here. I'm going to absolutely tear the arse out of this. So I was like, I want the donut from the Simpsons world. I'll have this, I'll have that. I went there. I literally did not want any of it really. We got like a nice dinner in the restaurant, and I got two servings of it because I was like, all right, this is going to have to tie me over for a bit.
Hmm.
But not allowing myself to maybe be a little bit more chilled than I perhaps could have been looking back in it. Um, but yeah,
It's
now
kind
it
of
is
like
what I
that
know.
feeling of like people always say, "Oh, you've earned this, you deserve this."
Yeah.
It's like sometimes you maybe just don't want to have it, and you feel like
Mm.
you're maybe guilted into doing it. Yes, maybe deep down you do want to have those things, but you know maybe now is not the right time. But you almost have that little bit of peer pressure from others and kind of force you into doing stuff, and
Yeah, you
that's
feel like you should, I feel
yeah,
like I should have had the donut, but at the
yeah.
same time, I didn't want it.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
it kind of brings back to, all right, if I didn't really want it, I know I'm obviously I'm doing something right in terms of what I want to do.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I think I'll actually go with the condition fading, just seeing it fade week on week. Since this was only like my second time dieting down, and the first time I was so food focused that I actually didn't care about my condition. I was just like, yep, I'm loving that I'm eating more, but now that I'm definitely more process driven, it was like in the front lat spread when when you're that lean where your midsection is actually detailed in your front lat, it's like seeing that like soften up a little bit. I was like, oh, I don't know if I like this. But I've definitely like switched my head around in that like the last month or two, definitely, and realized that it's just what's needed. And I think a lot of people can use that as an answer. Handling like coming out of a diet, like the condition fading is never nice, especially when it's been the goal for so long.
Yeah.
Matt, do you want to go, or do you have anything?
Similar to what both of those have been said, actually. You know,
So,
seeing sort of that transition from getting scale weight down, getting body fat off, to then trying to get healthy again. You know, trying
Mm.
to flip that mindset with essentially within a day. Like as soon as you step off stage, now your goal is completely different. So it's
Yeah.
just trying to remind yourself, and it takes time, but just like
Yeah.
trying to remind yourself, you need to get to a healthy body fat percentage. You need to get your hormones back in check, and as a result, the condition is going to have to fade. So it's just part of the process, but it is kind of difficult to wrap your head around that with it being such an instant sort of flip flop from one extreme to the next.
Yeah. I think for me it kind of ties into that, but because I got off stage and I knew straight away, probably pretty similar to yourself, Aiden, it was going to be 3 years. I sort of had this strange feeling of like I've spent all year focusing on this and I've just gotten off stage and that was it. And the 3 year gap for me seemed huge. Like it seemed in 2023 like that was going to be ages away. And like I'll be a totally different person. So many things will change. And yeah, that's a very long time away. It's kind of crazy how quick the off season actually went. And last night I actually for the first time got my trunks out and I was like, this is a bit mental. Like I haven't looked near these things since 2023. And now I'm doing it again. And it's kind of like put something in my head at the moment where I'm like, I actually need to enjoy like now I'm not even on prep yet. I'm like, I need to enjoy the fact I've got 3 years, 3 weeks or 3 weeks, Jesus Christ, 3 months of like good quality training here before I start prep. Um, Whereas I think it would be easy to sit and go, oh mate, like it's only 3 months, like let's get this over and done with, and start prep. But um yeah, I struggled with that initially. I think it's that feeling of like you get off stage and you're like, socials have been like flying all year. You feel like you're kind of the shit. And then all of a sudden it's like the last post goes up and you're like, well, that's it. It's quiet mode now.
Yeah.
For 3 years. I think it'd be a bit different if you knew you were getting on stage again in like a year or two. But
That's kind
three
of
is quite a
helped
long
me
time.
because I've done like one on, one off, one on, one off. So it
Yeah.
gives you that urgency where it's like immediately as soon as I come off stage, everything's broken down. It's like, okay, well, I've got maybe 9 months of gaining, then diet, and then we push up and then we go again. So it's like I can see it all on the page as well. So it's not like I'm thinking how long am I going to be gaining for, when am I going to
Yeah.
diet? It's all laid out for me. I know this is how much time I've got gaining, and you just crack on straight away.
Yeah.
That's where timelines are just so underestimated. If I was the same of came off stage in 22 immediately in my head, I was like, all right, 25, because I knew I needed to make that transition from the classes. But even this time where I don't need to make that big jump from class to class was a couple of weeks into it and I was starting to get a little bit just burnt out feeling. And then immediately when I said it to AJ and he was like, put the timeline in of we have pretty much the rest of all of the time mapped out really. It's like, all right, my head's screwed on now to make good progress.
Yeah. 100%. Um, Last one, which we've kind of covered this to be fair. Aidan's experience with previous and current coaches during prep. I suppose just did you notice there being a massive difference in terms of how the prep is ran or anything or
The macros to meal plan was the biggest change. Um, and then first prep not running the pre-prep uh
Mm,
was definitely a big change as well, but I didn't need it as much per se.
yeah.
Um, it's really hard to compare the two just because of how much I've dialed in on my own process from 22 to 25. It's almost like I am to a degree a different person. I operate on a different level, so it's hard to compare the two.
Mhm.
Um, I'm thinking if you took someone with the same level of experience I had in 22 and put them into that one in 25, they might have found that harder because of how much more it was planned out. Um, that's probably the biggest change, less food focus, just kind of going about it way more relaxed, way more casually, knowing I could do it from 22 versus trying to do it for the first time.
Yeah, 100%. Um, that's all I have in terms of questions, lads. Anything else for yourselves for Aidan or
Asked away. I'm
happy
content.
enough?
Good, that was a good
All
chat.
good. Well, yeah, thanks very much, Aidan, obviously for coming on, mate. It's been a pleasure to have you on. We will
Anytime. Always good to catch up.
100%, 100% have you on again. Goes without saying, obviously very excited to follow this off season for yourself as well. I'm sure it's going to be a productive year and we'll no doubt see you at the show days then as well, which will
Yeah,
be
I'll be plan to be a solid 170 pounds at MBFI, so I'll be chunkier. That's actually one
very,
thing this off season I'm not going to get as heavy as I did last time.
yeah,
My God, I struggled. I got near 180 and my body just went on shutdown.
What was your
no,
stage weight? It was like was it 140 something? 130?
138.
Fuck.
yeah, it's correct.
Really?
That's
I had a low of 135 like 2 days after I landed in the States. 138 stage weight. Stage weight in 22 was 132. So if I can be like 140-ish next time,
yeah,
Yeah.
you'll be happy enough. Good
considering the
stuff.
class is under like 150 or something
Mm.
crazy.
Good stuff. You'll probably be bigger than myself and Matt then by that stage. I expect I'll be like 160 on stage, maybe,
I
maybe a
think,
bit below or
yeah,
above that.
about 160.
Yeah, so
What class one is that lightweights
yeah,
or yeah,
yeah. So yeah. But no mate, obviously, yeah. thanks very much again for coming on.
Great.
Been a pleasure.
Thanks for having me.
And we will 100% have you on again at some stage down the line, I'm sure. But yes, guys, that wraps up another episode of the podcast. Thank you very much for listening. We will be back potentially next week or the week after. We'll just have to see. Jake's going to Japan, so but not for another couple of weeks yet. But yes, obviously, thank you for giving us a listen. Please, as always, we would really appreciate it if you give us a like, and also a rating on Spotify goes a long way as well. And yeah, we'll catch you on the next one. All right. Cheers.